What up, winners? Welcome back to the Focus on Winning podcast. My name is Ashraf. So this is the second part series of how to think more creatively. And in this part, we'll be talking about how to upgrade your creativity, how to apply creativity in your business, how to get your creative work out into the world, and so much more. So if you're new here, I'm just going to give a quick intro about what this podcast is about, okay? So this podcast is dedicated for someone who uses social media to grow their online business. So if you want to learn more about content creation, audience growth, and sales closing, make sure to subscribe to this podcast so you will always get a new episode every time it goes live, okay? So let's begin.
So the real question is this: how would an entrepreneur like us, who literally start from nothing or has limited resources and yet still wants to build an empire, join Ashraf as he answers this big question so you can apply it too? Welcome to Focus on Winning.
Okay, so we as an entrepreneur or a business owner, we want to be creative always, right? So can we upgrade our creativity?
Can we upgrade it? I love the thought of that. It's like, hey, if I can reboot my brain, and upgrade to the next level of operating system, that's a great way to look at it, because I think we can, and I think if you say, I want to upgrade, as I was talking about those inputs, hey, if I've talked to the same 5 people for the last 5 years, that's not a lot of varied inputs. So, let's get down and meet some other people. Let's go down to the coffee shop and mix it up, or let's go on a different podcast, or let's read a different publication, or let's meet with some different people. I think the creativity is not just going to happen automatically. We have to take an action and to really expand. I interviewed a woman the other day who said it this way. She says, I like to think of it as who's at your table. And so if you have the same people at your table, and a lot of times that's breakout groups at work or in a meeting, or that's your dinner table, or that's your lunch table, but who's at your table? And if you can vary and upgrade, if you will, to use your word, the quality of the people at your table, you're going to upgrade your thinking and your attitude.
Oh, all right. That's awesome. So you mean that we have to surround ourselves with a person that lift you up, or maybe someone who is a high level than you that makes you more creative, right?
Yeah, maybe all of those. In other words, well, there's a very long-standing concept of mastermind groups that has this, at the heart. But and another fantastic book I benefited from called Never Eat Alone. And Never Eat Alone. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of metaphor because you're going to have meals by yourself. But maybe you bring a new book with you. You bring a new publication with you. You bring a new, something. So, these ideas of who's at your table, I really like the imagery of that, to surround yourself with new and different ideas.
So, just by talking to you, I think I can be creative.
There you go. Well, and just our conversation here, I'm getting a lot of energy of it. And I feel that we're talking to each other from, opposite ends of the world. And it shows you what's possible. That, you get up, you hit a button, and now I'm talking to somebody anywhere in the world. And I'm sounding like, oh my gosh, we have Zoom now. Like, that's new. I've been doing these kind of conference calls, long before it was necessary because it was just so beneficial to be able to talk to people. But to make these connections of, hey, somebody in the UK is going to talk to somebody in Brazil today, and then somebody in Australia is going to talk to somebody, in Poland today, and then somebody in Russia is going to talk to somebody in Canada. This is the way the world is just speeding up, and the speed of creativity and innovation can only get better.
Yeah, we need to be so creative in using this thing. I mean, we have so much tool, we have so many things that we could use to ease our activities. And you mentioned about put into action and something along the lines with practice. So what kind of practice can we do to craft our creativity? How to spark that thing?
Yeah, and this goes to how to get your ideas out into the world. A lot of people, for example, say, I've always wanted to write a book. And especially now that I've written a few, people go, oh, isn't that fantastic? That must have been really hard. Well, I'm not going to say it's easy to write a book, but what I am saying is today you can write your book. You can get a lot of help. You can take some webinars. You can get on conference calls with other book writers and say, this is how to write the book. And then people go, well, how do I publish the book? Oh, I don't have an agent. I can't get a big publishing company to back me. Well, two things. One, Amazon has a platform where you can self-publish any book you want. So if you've already written your book this afternoon, you could publish it. It's just the barriers have come so far down. These obstacles, you're just making excuses. They aren't real obstacles. So, you can publish your book. Also, I know a former colleague who, he'll listen to this podcast later and think I'm busting him, but I always thought he was kind of a goof. He was kind of a goof. He was kind of a funny guy, right? Well, sure enough, he's a funny guy. He wrote some kids' cartoons. He made an app, and now he has a book agent, and he's going to publish a book next year. So one thing can lead to another if you take action. And that's the thought that I'll kind of complete this with, is that the thought needs to become an action. And if you don't take the action, then you won't move it forward. But if you'll take that one little step and it takes some courage for sure, but if you have the courage to take that first step to making your idea real, then you can get some momentum and get it out into the world.
And also, I think creativity will come down to if you are so obsessed to it, you do the things many times over. So that's when the creativity comes out. Or, when you play football and you practice the skills many times, you kind of mix the skill with another skill. So that's when creativity can sparks.
For sure. Yeah. There's certain training to it. And then how many times has somebody said, I do my best thinking in the shower. I came up with this great idea while I was thinking in the shower. But that's because you've done the work. You've studied. You've done the practice. And so when your mind's at rest a little bit, it's like, oh, I saw this in a dream. I woke up and I had this idea. Or I was just walking down the street and this came to me. So when your brain has a chance to relax, which is why rest is so important to creative people. But when your brain has a chance to relax, then the sparks can fly too.
Love that. So since, my show is about using social media for business, so how can we apply creativity in social media?
Well, several ways. And I'll start with the kind of connections that we've been talking about making. So I was a very early user of LinkedIn and have made that my channel of choice. A lot of people can use Facebook and Instagram and other platforms as well. LinkedIn happens to be my choice because now I have 6,000 connections and probably more followers and more. I mean, if you think about the ripple effect that 6,000 connections can make. So this even comes, so I had a trip years ago to Mumbai in India, and I said, I wonder if I have any connections in Mumbai. And sure enough, I had like 3 or 4. And so while I'm on a business trip in Mumbai, I did 3 or 4 extra meetings with people I'd really never met before and was merely connected with on LinkedIn. And now, one of them is a longtime friend. This is back in 2008. So what is that, 12 years now? So I've known this woman and her company for 12 years and can continue to follow them, continue to relate to them. So it's a lot of fun. So that's number one way I think of using social media. The other then is to read what people are posting rather than just clicking a like button. Somebody says, "Oh, I really thought this article was great." Well, what did you think was great about it? And let's have a conversation. It's meant to be social media, so let's be social about it. And so if somebody says, "Oh, I was on a podcast." Oh, great. Tell me about that experience. What did you learn? Well, maybe you should be on my podcast. So there's some exchange that has to happen. And I like the idea of information exchange on social media, not just celebrating. And that's good. Celebrate people's wins and losses. But, still keep it social. And I would say the last part is this is a chance for you to add more people to your table that you wouldn't ordinarily know. So, there's a great connection I have in Paris. And all of a sudden I see that she's working with some other strategists and some other creative people on a project with her in Paris. And I say, maybe I should know those people too. I wonder if you could Sophia, could you make a introduction to some of these other people? So, that's a way to add to your circle of influencers.
Oh, wow. Mark, I never thought about seeing your connection whenever you go to somewhere or someplace, seeing your connection if they are there and then meet them. I never thought about that.
Oh, yeah, it's really crazy. And so again, a couple of years ago, I went to Manila, and I had been to Manila before, but just kind of connecting through the airport in a quick business meeting. But I was going to Manila for a week, and I said, well, hey, I'm going to be there for a week. I wonder if I could meet and greet some new people. And I ended up meeting a great group of creative individuals. And then they knew people back in my hometown. So I now met more people in my own hometown that I wouldn't have met before because I connected through Manila. It's a crazy world, but that's how I think about, social media.
Awesome. So you use LinkedIn first and then Facebook, or?
I would say mainly LinkedIn. I use Facebook sort of, as a personal connector, to stay in touch with friends and family, but not so much for business.
So you're more active on LinkedIn. Wow.
Yeah.
No wonder. Yeah. I just saw your profile and then compared to your LinkedIn profile, I was so shocked that you were so active there. We kind of contrast each other. I didn't use LinkedIn, but I did have, yeah.
Yeah, sure. No, that's the way it goes.
So you mentioned about getting your creative work out into the world. So what do you mean by that?
Well, again, I guess I use this phrase about creativity, coming up with ideas, and innovation, actually producing the ideas. So, so many people carry around the ideas just in their head, or, they have a notebook, or they have, an iPad full of ideas. And yet they're frustrated they can't get anything published, printed, recorded. It's like, well, I've always wanted to have a podcast, but I don't know how to do that. Okay, well, it's going to take a little study, but mainly I really think it takes, I used the word courage before, and I want to make sure I'm finding the right word, but it takes the confidence. Let's use that word. There's a certain confidence that says, I'm going to put my idea out there to be read or to be judged, frankly. Look, every week when I put something out on the internet, you're open to judgment. And I think to myself, why did I only get 17 views of that video? But last week I got 1,042 likes of this other article. If you get caught up in the likes and the smiley faces and the thumbs up and the thumbs down, it affects your confidence. And I'm just saying, if you have the confidence to put your ideas out there constantly, then it's going to bear fruit. You've got to plant a lot of seeds, or you could be lucky and plant one seed and it becomes a great tree. But it takes that planting of the seed to start the whole process.
Yeah, right. And I think the word you're looking for is bold.
Yes.
Good and confidence. I'm not sure that if that's right.
No, there's a lot to that. And
Okay.
again, it's sort of, you go to the end when you go to the swimming pool when you're, little, and you go out to the end of that diving board and you go, oh my gosh, the pool looks a long way down. But you take that step, and you jump off the diving board, you hit the water and you go, wow, that was really exhilarating. That was a lot of fun. I think I'm going to run back up to the top of the diving board and do it again. And next time I'm going to do a cannonball. Oh, that was a lot of fun. Or the next time I'm going to do a swan dive. And then pretty soon, if that person really wants to, then they're going to be one of those cliff divers that jump off the, Acapulco rock. But, it's like one thing leads to another.
Yeah, right. And I believe that having ideas is easy. You just come up with anything that you want to build. But the hardest part is to take action. You need to implement that thing and you have to plan a lot of things, right? And another one I believe is if someone have an idea and they believe that idea can help more people, they will share it to a lot of people, and they need to have this kind of belief that this idea can help people. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then and then when we talk about breaking down obstacles and stuff, there's a lot of things like, say, taking, for example, the publishing of the book or getting an article published in your trade magazine. You can get your idea for a certain distance, and then you say some of these details or some of this production or some of this, they are tedious steps. I've got to have it proofread. Oh, I have to have the references added. I have to do footnotes. I don't know how to do footnotes. I don't know how to do them right. And so that's when a lot of creative people, and myself included, you get bored, you get frustrated, and then you drop. It's like, it's not worth it. It's like, whoa. Either, kind of push through it or get somebody to help you. Somebody else out there loves to proofread articles. They don't like to write them. They like to proofread them. So, for example, I work with a friend who is a terrific editor, makes my work look so good and sound so good because she knows how to edit. She knows how to proofread. And so it can make that's one of examples of teaming up with people, getting some more people at your table, who can complement your work and help you get it out there.
Okay, that's awesome. So you help people get their creative works out into the world. You help people share their ideas with the world. So what's the step-by-step process that you have done so far to do this?
Well, I think you have to create your own roadmap. I wouldn't want to be so presumptive as to say there's the same, steps every time. But there are, I think it's 7 steps to creativity and things like that. All sorts of people have models, but to find the creative idea, to develop it, and then have the confidence that we've talked about and the boldness to get it out there, and then team up with people who know more than you.
So do you have an example of the best creative work that you have done so far?
I've done so much fun stuff. And you know what? To our point, I would almost be embarrassed because if I start telling you, the best creative idea I've ever been a part of, it would sound like it was my idea. Some of the best ideas I have been a part of, were other people's brands or other people's concepts that I helped develop or I helped nurture, or I simply, did the workshop to say, you guys have a great idea here. And another part of my work is oftentimes doing market research to get feedback from the customers. So it wasn't my idea, but it was terrific to be a part of this market research where we could actually confirm and shape and get feedback on these ideas.
And then you model the thing that already exists.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool. So I think, Mark, we are close to an end today. So what's your final takeaway that our listeners can really get from our chat today?
Yeah, I think it's a big, big world of creativity, which is the reason I wanted to name this podcast Unlocking Your World of Creativity. And one of the books I've published is A World of Creativity. And so no matter where you are in that world, let's start with the physical world. Use social media, use your connections to expand your world. Get out of your neighborhood, get out of your postal code or your area code. You can get out of your country through the technology and through social media. And because your podcast is about that, I want to underscore the use of social media to really build your network. So that would be the first takeaway. I think the second is then inside your own world of creativity, get out of your own head sometimes. You get some new stimulus, get some new ideas and some new people to talk to. And also then that helps you build your creative muscle, and it helps you build your creative confidence to get your work out into the world.
Wow. Right. So when is the podcast launch?
October 22nd will be the first podcast.
Ooh,
and got a lot of great guests lined up, and a lot of great. I've got a whole stack of books over here that will be part of the subject matter.
Wow! So is it a weekly show?
It'll be weekly. I hope that on October 22nd, when you sign on to the channels, I'll have multiple episodes already in, so that you'll get things warmed up. But yes, I plan a weekly show.
When is the date? I mean, the day in the week.
Thursday mornings.
Thursday.
Yeah, we'll have new episodes every Thursday.
Every Thursday, starting from 26th October.
22nd.
Right. 22nd.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'm sure people are adding that to their calendars right now.
Yeah. So sounds awesome. I mean, you already have a guest lining up. How many guests are there?
Well, I've got 10 lined up so far. So at least we'll have a
awesome.
Yeah, we'll have a pipeline of guests. Well, and Asaraf, I mean, and that's the funnest part is you start making the guest list and you go, wow, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. I don't know why, but for me, every time I see the guests that will be interviewed, I feel kind of excited.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So where can people find you and how to learn more from you?
Yes, exactly. Well, I do have a website. It's www.mark, M-A-R-K, and then a hyphen, and then Stinson, STINSON.com, mark-stinson.com. But of course, here I've talked about LinkedIn. I would like all the listeners of the show to find me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect with you.
All right, go check out Mark-Stinson and connect with him on LinkedIn. So, Mark, thank you for sharing your ideas and insights with us. Really happy to have you here.
Well, it was terrific being with you, and all the best in your future shows and your future creative endeavors.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Mark Stinson. So go check out mark-stinson.com. So if you're not familiar with the term hyphen, it's basically like a dash, all right, like a minus, okay? So mark-stinson.com. All right, so go check that out and also check his new book, A World of Creativity. Go check that out if you really are interested in developing your creativity skills and become more creative. So if you want to learn more about content creations, audience growth, and sales closing, make sure to subscribe to this podcast so you can always get the new episode whenever it goes live, okay? So always remember that winners focus on winning. Until then, stay winning.
Hey, thank you for listening. We hope you can implement everything from this episode. And would you like to know more about business strategies and life hacks that you can apply right now? If so, subscribe to this podcast so you can become the best you.